Let's welcome to the show podcast host Ben Ferguson. Ben, what do you make of this? Because Colbert lost 1.4 million viewers over the last 10 years when his show got canceled. Democrats and the media are trying to make Kimmel and Colbert free speech martyrs. If you listen only to MSNBC and some people on CNN, you wouldn't see what really is going on.
Yeah, look, I want to be very clear. Jimmy Kimmel fired himself, and not even for what he said the other night. That was just the opportunity for them to say, let's pull the plug on this earlier than we were planning on doing it. This was him realizing that when you give the middle finger to 50% of the country every night for well over a decade, and you alienate 50 to 55% of Americans, and you mock their values, you mock their faith, you mock where they live, you mock their way of life, you mock their traditions, then all you're left with is the radical left. Well, guess what? Viewing habits have changed. Even those on the left, they have a phone now. They watch different things. They're on demand. They're watching streaming services. So his pie that he had a decade ago had shrunk to about right here like this. And what he didn't realize was when you're a jerk to people every single night, eventually it's not funny anymore. So when you get to a point where apparently in the last ratings period, he only had 129,000 people in the most sought after demographic for ad sales, you're gonna get fired. And so this was an opportunity to get rid of him. It wasn't really even for what he said. And if it was, by the way, for what he said, they would have fired him back during COVID when he said that if you didn't get the vaccine and you go to a hospital, you deserve to die and go to the back of the line. So if it was about that, they would have gotten rid of him then. They got rid of him this time because they weren't making money, period. So I don't even give them credit as a network.
You know, we don't know the actual numbers. We're hearing tens of millions of dollars for each show. You know, but Democrats on Capitol Hill are still fuming that Jimmy Kimmel got suspended. They're claiming censorship. You point out Democrats like Kamala Harris, Kamala Harris, even Michelle Obama demanded Trump be kicked off Twitter. And after Biden had his own misinformation bureau to do censorship during the pandemic. But President Trump's words saying he'll revoke licenses, listen, we understand that would violate the First Amendment, but press freedom dropped under Obama and Biden. Obama's White House spied on AP reporters. They delayed or denied a record number of FOIA requests. They prosecuted more whistleblowers than all prior administrations combined.
Yeah. Look, I think this comes down to state-sponsored media. The Democratic Party has controlled ABC, NBC, and CBS for basically almost as long as I've been alive. And when you have that tool in your toolbox, it makes it a lot easier for you to win elections. It's free media. You're not having to buy as many ads. So they're terrified of losing the power, but they've already lost it. Look at the last election. People were not turning to these hosts to get their news or to see the sit-downs. Look at how they had no conservatives on their show. None whatsoever.
And how many counties did Trump win?
Yeah, a lot more than the 90%. Democrats won, I can assure.
90 to 95%. Yeah.
Yeah, the whole country is now flyover country, and Democrats did this to themselves. But Jimmy Kimmel is not a victim. He's not.
Ben Ferguson, thank you for being with us. Still ahead this.
Good to see you.